Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and it is officially Christmas time, and once again, I'm going to be doing one less video during this because I feel like during Christmas time or during the holidays, I'm not going to do a full 4 videos, but I will be doing 3 videos for this month. And last year, a good friend of mine got me something that I don't have ever, and that's a Christmas attire. So because I have my pumpkin suit for Villain Month, I'm going to be doing this. There we go. This is my Christmas Pokemon dress shirt that one of my good friends got me for Christmas last year, and I love it. It is amazing. It fits me right, and it's got the classic trio plus Pikachu all over it, and I've never had a Christmas attire that I can wear outside to people with people because, you know, Christmas pajamas don't count. So I love it. Oh, and I'm going to be wearing it for every single Christmas video from here on out because, like I said, I like all my clothing to be a little geeky, a little nerdy, and now I have a nerdy Christmas shirt, which is awesome. And going forward into this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the games that I spent so much time on this year. A game that I found out about when I was hanging out with friends. We all watched like the Nintendo and everything, updates of new games. And I got really ecstatic when I saw the Megaman Battlenetwork Legacy Collection. Megaman has been a big part of my life. From the anime to the video games. Okay, only Battlenetwork and Star Force and Mega Man Star Force. Because I like the RPGs. I love the characters. I love the story. And this game gave me an opportunity to do something I never did. Because full disclosure, when I was young, I never played Mega Man's Battlenetwork 1, 2, or 3. I borrowed 3 from an old classmate from school, and then I gave it back. I got as far as Desert Man, and that was it. And I had 4, 5, and 6, but I've only ever beaten 6 when I was a kid because I kind of sucked at those games before. But now with this game, I've played all the games. Okay, I've only played 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 5, 1 of 6. I'm going to go back when I can and when I have time and when I'm kind of bored. So I finally beat every single Mega Man Battlenetwork game once. So now I can review it. And I got my old school PET here in order to jack into this review. And I will be doing this in the same fashion that I did my CSI game reviews, where I did every single game in one video and kind of ranked the good, the bad, and the virus of each series. Now, to get this out of the way, all 3 games are jumbled into 2 different files, having Legacy Collection Volume 1 and 2, having the first 3 games in the first volume and the last 3 in the second volume, obviously. And overall, this is 10 games. 10 games, yeah? Yeah, that tracks, with some of the games having a couple differences between. So let's start it. So the volume 1, doing everything, takes 36.5 hours to do the story plus some of the side stuff that they do. And volume 2 goes for 82 hours, which I can attest to that because it's been a long time since I played the Battlenetwork series. So I was a little rusty with the controls, but it felt so good to play this again. I love the old school graphics. I love the way the game plays. I just love it, and it just felt so nostalgic. And for playing the last 3 games, and then going into playing the first 3, I definitely saw the downgrade of gameplay within graphics. But let's start off with Mega Man Battlenetwork 1. I mean, everyone knows Mega Man Battlenetwork. You know, you got Land, you got Mega Man, you got Mail and Roll. You got Yai and Glide. You got Dex and Gutsman. You got all the best characters that you can imagine. And we've got one of the great villains of the series, World 3. Actually is the villain for a majority of the games. So, yeah. One thing I love about the first game is how simplistic it is with its game design. It doesn't go overboard like the future games do, but when I say overboard, I mean like complicated plot. The first game kind of eases you into the entire series, obviously, because that's what a first game does, and it does it beautifully. My only problem is there's not that much to do. I mean, there's no side missions in this, or there probably are, like, side quests to do. There are, but I think I'm just kind of forgetting some. Again, it's been a long time since I played it. It was during the summer, so yeah, it's taking me a little bit to remember. The battles are really simplistic. The bosses don't have that much of a variety of strategies to fight. Also, for some reason, they needed you to have a battle chip to flee a fight if you got a little bit in over your head, which thankfully they changed that to a simple command later in the series, which I do love. Now, another big problem about the first game, and it's not an overall problem. Okay. Actually, it's a good number of problems. Like, as much as I want to say good things about the first game, there's just not a lot in this game. Like, 3 boss fights, you go to people and fight them, and they are hard as heck. Skullman, Woodman, Sharkman, what have you. And they're all great. I just wish that they were a part of the story. I mean, just having the 3 guys who never return again in the series until Woodman returns in Battlenetwork Blue Moon. But overall, yeah, like, why have these amazing boss fights and just have them be optional bosses, which now gets you an achievement because they're hard as heck. And the overall story of Battlenetwork 1 is non-existent. There is no story for one. Megaman fights Mr. Match and Fireman at the beginning, and then afterwards we have to fight so many World 3 guys. It's one coincidence after another, and we just run into them. And again, there's no structured story here, and it's kind of a pain. And plus, the network is absolutely boring. Like, the entire network that we traverse through for a good part of the game is bland. Like, it's boring. There's nothing to do. I mean, we fight Stone Man here, but that's only because there's a maze. It's kind of a mazy area, and it took me a good while to figure out. And the only cool spots are when we jack into actual computers, and their whole puzzle gimmick is a lot more fun. Yeah, and it's a good start, but it's a slog of a start. And some of the bosses, the difficulty jacks up to no end for no reason other than just to make it difficult. And then after you beat the game, you can go back to the network, have a certain number of victories, have a certain number of chips, progress. Then you get to fight Shadow Man, you get to fight Pharaoh Man with no intricate post-game story like the future games do. So it kind of feels like you're fighting the super bosses right out of nowhere with no rhyme or reason. Also, the main fact that at the end of the game, we get that huge bombshell of Lamb being kind of the subconscious data of our twin dead brother Hub. I mean, again, I do like it, and I like that they didn't do that in the Megaman Battlenetwork, Megaman NT Warrior anime series. I mean, I still love the anime series, but at the same time, I wish we got some more of it, and I wish we finished it in English. But yeah, and also, why is the entrance to Wily's secret lair the school, and it's never brought up again? So, the secret entrance to his lair is the school, and no one else brings it up. Like, seriously? It's one of those things that makes the first game kind of needing to have the punch that it needs. But it was a good start, but it's an empty start. Like, that's why I like the other games a lot better. So yeah, going forward, Mega Man Battle Network 1 gets a rating of a 5 out of 10. It's a good start to the series. And I'm not doing this just because I love the other games. I'm doing it based solely on how much I enjoyed it. And as fun as it was, the other ones just got a nudge. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. Going into Battle Network 2, which is great. It has a similar story, but with the Net Mafia Gossipal, which is great. Yeah, I'm not waiting for a punchline here. I'm just gonna... It does the exact same thing a lot of the Mega Man games do. Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man Star Force does. Hero and friends go out to have fun and stumble upon a freaking virus attack, villains plotting. No, seriously, they attract more danger than Batman does. And they're not even teenagers yet. Except for Chad, a.k.a. Best Rival, a.k.a. Best Dude. But yeah, and also I like that they added the style changes in Battle Network 2, which really gave us an edge that we needed. My only problem is, depending on how you do your combats before you get one, they change, and the element is always kind of random, so it can really help you later on in the fights, or it can really hinder you depending on... Because it is during this game where they brought in the elemental weaknesses, which thankfully they did, because going up against any more of these guys with no elemental weaknesses will make the fights a slog and not more strategic, which I really enjoy. I love the strategization that Battle Network 2 and future games brought on with the game, because everything from... It was just a kind of a bore, if I may. Also, all the final bosses in this game, most of them are great. Like, the Alpha Virus was so hard to fight, but it really made me feel like I was earning the fight, because there was no elemental weaknesses, there was nothing to exploit, just mano a mano, and I do love it. Now, continuing on with Battle Network 2 and all these elemental weaknesses, a lot of the boss fights do feel a little bit more strategic, and a majority of them do have their cons and their pros. It's not like a couple boss fights are a little bit better or a little bit worse. They're great. And again, the story is fantastic. It's summer vacation. Thankfully, like, we don't have to do school, which I do love. But at the same time, the school element kind of takes away some of the... Actually, you know what? No, it doesn't, because we hang out with everyone during summer vacation. So it still does a great job, and every single scenario does feel believable. A couple things here and there, kind of like the big villain and the reveal. Again, thank God, like, the same thing with Battle Network and Star Force, how it translates to the anime. Definitely a little bit more kiddish, because trust me, the stuff that happens in 2 would never get okay in Network, in NT Warrior, or in the failed Star Force anime. Like, the stuff that happens in... I mean, it says it looks like a kiddish game. Let me see. Yeah, crude humor, fantasy violence, mild language, suggested themes, use of alcohol, use of tobacco. Yeah, that's all in this, but it's done pretty good. But again, most of the things would never be okay for kids, but I'm glad that I got exposed to it. Now, again, in this game, the network that we're in is starting to be a little bit better by having us branch out into different cities and having their own network, allowing us to dive more into the area, which I do love. And the side bosses in this one are actually pretty fun, and it still has that whole benefit of being a nidge better than the first game and improving gameplay overall. But I gotta say, the Net Mafia Gospel, there's just a couple things that they do that don't really feel like they know what they're doing, but overall, it's still okay. But the final reveal is like for the end is a little lagging, and then at the same time we figure out stuff later in the series that someone was behind the whole big thing, which we can all guess who it was. I mean, it's like we need to wait for his mustache to twirl. But the final boss was absolutely fantastic. The Gospel Virus Beast was badass. Also, I didn't know this. If you have a style chain, if you have a style equipped before you go to the final fight, depending on your element, it will have a super attack that is effective against your element, so you'll take double the damage. However, go in without a style, and it will still have immense power to ruin you. Also, you can't damage this thing unless its mouth opens up. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. But again, the final bosses of the Mega Man series definitely do something to make them a challenge. Their high amount of HP really doesn't help, but at the same time, it still adds a high level challenge, so you earn the victory of finishing the game, which I do love. So everything I stated, Mega Man Battlenetwork 2 is getting a 7 out of 10 for a good rating. And now, the game that everyone says is the best in the series, and in all honesty, I can't deny that. Mega Man Battlenetwork 3 is fantastic because it does a good number of things right here. Having us introduce so many new characters, introduce many different changes. For example, having Dex move away, and it's a sad moment, which I do love, to be honest. It's story elements like this that make the characters kind of grow, because I don't like it when, it's a kid's game, but at the same time, it shows a lot of growth in a lot of characters and serious situations. Who hasn't had that one best friend that moved away and it's all sad, but stay connected and everything. It's done great. Like, it's not done Saturday morning cartoony. It's done really respectable, and they do it well. Until he moves back games later, and for some reason, I don't understand the whole continuity of that. I don't. And also, the villain scenarios are fantastic. We get your classic crazy dude who we don't even see hacking into the zoo, releasing all the animals. A guy using his Navi to use a light beam to hypnotize people. Seriously, every single TV show at least once in a while does these themes. You could do a checklist, and it's pretty fun. And then we go into serious ones, like in an environmentalist trying to sabotage a hospital and stop a kid who needs surgery. Like, it's really do or die in this scenario, and I love how they go the extra mile. And again, it's all done respectful, and every scenario has that little hint of maturity that the games dive into really well and make it feel sincere. And also the game and the boss fights, we still get the style changes, which are awesome. And it really helps in certain boss fights, which, again, I do love. And I love how the network is a little bit more vaster, how they connect to the other locations. Some of them and also we also get the custom screen, which we can up custom abilities, like the undershirt, where even if you take a damage that would put you over the limit, you still have 1 health, so you can kind of recover. Also, we have that stupid press system, which when we go into a linear path, we shrink down. It gets really annoying, especially in one certain aspect of the game. But again, going through all these different paths challenge you of how to use your custom screen and how to traverse the area in order to get certain items that are unlocked and hard to get. And I do love that in this game. And then we have the whole tournament section in the early game, which again is fantastic. There's also side missions that we can take on in order to get more benefits, more rewards, and they're mostly just fun. However, in the future review of one of these games, I'm going to have a rant about something, and I think a lot of you know what it is, but I'll get there when I get to it. And again, all the boss fights, the story, the overall ending with the alpha virus, and the whole thing with Base, and again, Base isn't as prominent a villain in this series, except for 2 and 3, because then he kind of goes dormant a little bit, and he's a super boss for late game and post game. But at the same time, Base is just one of the best villains in gaming, and one of the most powerful navis in the entire series. So I gotta give credit there right away. So yeah, overall story, overall design, overall improvement on some things. Mega Man Battlenetwork 3 is the best game of the series, and that is why I am giving it a 9 out of 10. It escapes being a 10, because again, Base should have been a kind of a bigger threat than coming in certain parts of the game and being an awesome boss to fight. But there are also a couple things that kind of niche this game under being a perfect 10. But again, I rarely give out perfect 10s. Just like another reviewer I love, a legendary game just means that it should be in your library. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mega Man Battlenetwork 4. I haven't frozen. I'm just really concealing my anger to this game. Okay. Who in their right fucking mind came up with this? I'm serious. Mega Man Battlenetwork 4, both of them are the worst game in Mega Man history. Yeah, I'm being serious. Okay, so we start off the game by saving Roll from the elusive Shade Man, who is an absolute beast an absolute great villain in the anime, and who is voiced by Scott McNeil, one of my favorite voice actors, who also voices Dinobot, Waspinator, and Rat Trap. And he's basically a pansy. Like, what the fuck? I know I censored myself earlier, but I can't contain it anymore. This game is a pain in the ass to play for 3 big reasons. 1, the story. Basically, after the whole Shade Man incident, we learn about the dark chips. And this is when the dark chips start to become a thing in the game, where if you use them, you get a big boost in power. However, you get a bug in your system, and also your health will permanently decrease. So I hope you didn't spend a lot of Mega Man Battlenetwork 4 getting HP upgrades to raise your health meter, because guess what? You do a dark chip, and it's permanently decreased a little bit. Permanently. So all that work you did, and you lose a bit. I mean, obviously you don't have to use the dark chips, but as a kid, I didn't know the big risks. Because again, things in games weren't the same for me anymore. I didn't understand mechanics back then. So I was screwed really, really terribly. So that's not one of the reasons that's a problem. The story of this game is a giant meteorite is coming towards Earth for some reason. Yeah. And as scientists, aka Lan's father, is working on a solution, and they're kind of working together throughout the game to figure out a way to destroy the meteorite, Lan and Megaman are entering into tournaments. That's the story. At no point do we know the big threat until after the third tournament, and then the story, we're involved in the story, and it kind of bombs hard. We are thrown into 3 tournaments where we will fight Navis, and some of them are generic Navis, the evil Navis, and obviously customized net Navis, including some previous characters from some of our friends, and also some new enemies, which are, some of them are basically the Dark Lloyds from the Mentee Warrior series, but I'll get to that later. So yeah, your enemies will be randomized depending on which game you play. Red Sun and Blue Moon have their own tournaments where you will have to fight a specific Navi, a generic Navi, that you will have to do a small side story in order to fight them first, which helping them with their problems, going through the nets, them people screwing you over, with a good number of really interesting stories. But that will be a different video next year. You will fight some friends such as Chod, Mail, and Dax. And you will meet a lot of new characters. And okay, I'm gonna be honest, there was no reason for them to bring in generic Navis into these tournaments. Because from watching the Mentee Warrior game and hearing about the game Battlenetwork Transmission, which was a bomb, they could have brought in out the other Navis that weren't used. Because we could have had Nova Man, Bright Man, Gravity Man, Sword Man, Spike Man. Well, technically they call him Needle Man, but I still think Spike Man would have been better. That is 5 net Navis that would have been better boss fights, but they said, no, we're not doing them. And yet they allow Cold Man to be an option. So, yeah. You fight 1 generic, 1 specialized, which is either one of the always one of the Dark Lloyds, or you fight someone, and after you defeat them, you get their double soul, which is an extension of the cross system. But the difference is you get to reuse it by sacrificing a chip with a certain attribute. And it definitely gives you a power-up. Each chip powers up a certain type of chip, and it also has their own special attack and everything, which is great. And then afterwards, we go into the next tournament where we defeat Shade Man after doing an amazing section where we have to fix robots in a theme park. And he wants the dark chip. We destroy it. We delete him after using the dark soul once. And then afterwards, the not so shocking reveal of the villain in this game. Seriously. No, seriously. I'm gonna show a screenshot of the people who are working on this trying to destroy the asteroid project. Just tell me which one out of these is the villain. Okay, you are stupid. Okay, so that's one problem. That's the second problem with this game. The story is us doing tournaments, but not realizing the full threat until the end. Because in the third tournament, they're trying to find a nut operator who can send a powerful navi into the computer of the meteorite to destroy it, and then it's revealed that there's an ancient mechanism there named Duo who is understanding the darkness of humanity and wanting to destroy it because we are beyond saving. What? How is that even a thing? I mean, yes, I get it in the Mega Man series. A couple things go over everyone's head, but really? That is the plot? Okay, a saving grace from this game is the double souls, the scenarios in the tournament, and also the fact that the net is a little bit more fleshed out and each one is varied and colorful, which isn't so annoying to the eyes a majority of the time. But here, okay, some of you may want to lower your volume if you're wearing headphones and everything, because I can't control my anger at this. Someone at Capcom, who developed this game so many years ago, thought it would be a great idea because here's the thing. In each tournament, it's randomized. The opponents you fight will be different. But here's the thing. There's an achievement for getting all 6 double souls and for fighting each of the Dark Lloyd enemies, such as Video Man, Spark Man, Burn Man, Cold Man, Top Man. So yeah, so they want us to replay the game? No, my friend. There is a new game plus in this game where you replay the story with all the abilities, the battle chips, and the double souls that you acquired through the game. So you have to replay the story again. However, this game will sense that it's new game plus, and allow you to fight the other enemies, the other tournament attendees, in order to progress through the game. So you can get all the other double souls and fight all the other enemies. Now, why am I mad about this? Well, it's basically simple. In the last tournament, oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. So in Red Sun, the one I played, I believe it's Thunderman and Proto Man that you can get via the last tournament. So I got Thunderman in my first promo, so I was expecting to get Proto Man in the second playthrough, and I did make it all the way. And I thank God, just like in Kingdom Hearts 1, I am so happy that they have a skip scene where you can skip the entirety of the cutscenes, so you can get right down to business and everything. But here's the thing. 2 problems with New Game Plus in this game if you want to get every little thing in the game. One, the viruses are harder, they have more HP, and they're the more evolved version. Instead of in each, as you go through parts of the game, the enemies will be different colors, indicating a different difficulty, where the attacks hit harder and they're faster. So, yeah, you have to deal with that a lot, because once you do New Game Plus, all the viruses are up a level and they're up in difficulty, and it is not negotiable. Also, 2, you have to play this game 3 times just to get everything. Just to get every double soul, to fight every single enemy, and it's not optional. So, you have to replay this game 3 times. Well, okay, play it once, then replay it twice. So, technically, again, you have to play this game 3 times. And the difficulty hacks up, even for the bosses. Oh, my God. Yeah. And not only that, if you want to do everything in both of the games, you will have to play them each 3 times. So, lack of a story, great scenarios with the tournament bosses, no real threat during the main game until the end. Difficulty gets higher up every time you play it. And 3 times! How was this decided? This is the laziest thing ever, and it infuriates so many people. Oh my God. Also, oh my God. Okay, so everything I said, I need to get on to the next one because it's one of my favorites. Megaman Battlenetwork 4, ironically, gets a 4 out of 10. It is worse than the first game because, again, 3 times, difficulties spike, and it's no story, which sucks. Especially since, actually, no, it's just one of them. Okay, I think I've let out enough anger for that. So let's get on to Battlenetwork 5, which is one of the best ones. Megaman Battlenetwork 5, Team Colonel, or Team Proto Man. Now, this game did a lot good with a second to last sequel. Basically, the villain from the fourth game is back, and he knocks us out, kidnapping our father and taking our friends' PETs so their net navies can't help us out. And they have taken over the entire net, so it's up to us and whoever we're teaming up with in the game to liberate them, and to save the net and uncover their hidden agenda. Now, depending on which game that you play, I had Team Proto Man as a kid. So obviously when I got this game, I decided to do Team Colonel. Basically, the games are basically the same in structure, but each game has their own characters that you will meet along the way with their own different scenarios, but it's basically the same atmosphere, but different story elements. And obviously they all have their unique attacks. So in terms of villains, you get the same ones, but in terms of comrades, it will be different. So, and by going in canon, Team Colonel is canon in this game, which technically makes sense because other than Searchman, nobody in... Okay, actually, that's not really true. So, yeah. Both teams have their own different team members, and they all have their own abilities. They have their own elements. They have their own... It's their own everything, and it's just fantastic. Also, it's one of the few games where you get to control another net navy other than Mega Man. We get to control everyone in our party during the liberation missions, which is kind of like a top-down mission in other games where you liberate the panels, defeat the enemies, and then you go after the boss. Which, again, it's great taking control of someone else for once and having different fight styles. Well, not fight styles, but abilities that target the entire area. And it's fun to work with them and to find out what works and plan out your attack going forward, which is great. It adds a high level of strategy to this game. So we either work with Chad and Proto Man, or we work with one of the badass characters of the series, Barrel and his net navy, Colonel. I don't know if I'm using the right hand to salute. I'll do both just in case. And throughout this game, as we defeat the Dark Lloyds, they will have higher security. So we will need to add new team members to strengthen our resolve. And surprisingly, shockingly, we get to meet them via accident in each scenario, which I do love, but it still edges on the kind of jumping the shark of how we meet these people, but at the same time, it's still done well. And again, like I said, each character, it's the same atmosphere for their role in the game and plot, but their whole overall character is different, which I do love. Again, for example, the first one we meet is either Magnet Man, which we fought in Battlenetwork 2, but it's done by Gauss's granddaughter or daughter, who is helping us later on for Team Proto Man, or in Team Colonel, it's Princess Pride and Nightman. So again, it's two different characters, but it's the same scenario, but different story elements, which is great. And controlling each of these net navies feels so unique because they have their own little fight styles and their own weaknesses. So you always got to be wary of that, which is awesome. What else? The net is a little bit different because it's under the control of the Dark Ship Syndicate Nebula, but it doesn't really affect gameplay-wise. It basically just has the atmosphere because as the area is controlled by the villains, the area is reddish, but it's not camouflage red. Just the background is red and it's more dark, indicating that the area needs to be liberated, which I do love. That subtle detail, and it's done really, really well. And then in the later in the game, you will near the end, you will have to use each character in order to solve some traversal puzzles. And again, it's done really well. And also we will get, again, double soul from each of our companions, which is awesome. Utilizing them, and also the final boss of this one was really difficult to fight, but again, it's got that high level difficulty that makes me feel like I earn it, and it's done so well. There's no real, I guess there are some side missions in this, if I'm remembering correctly, but at the same time, I'm glad they didn't add side missions to this, because this is a real secret operation thing. And the story is done so well in each one. And the ending of Team Barrel, it's the same as Team Proto Man, but it has a lot more weight to it, with a Barrel being canon for the end of the series. And it's just done so friggin' well. I'm not gonna lie. With the amazing story elements that make this game feel like it's not like the other games where we can just go about our day and not remember that they're threatening the world with some big plot. This one is out in the open and everyone knows that there is a big threat. So it's kind of in your face, and it just has that element of, it's kind of like in Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, with that giant freaking moon face crashing into the planet, so you can't really do side missions and everything because you feel the threat. And again, it's done very well, and it has great puzzle sections, which again I love because I love puzzles. So Megaman Battlenetwork 5 gets a 9 out of 10 for being one of my favorites in the series, for having the uniqueness of allowing us to control other navies in order to progress through the game. And again, the liberation missions are great. It gives you a strategic battle against the bosses, and it does it in spades, which again, I can't deny it. And now we have come to my game, Megaman Battlenetwork 6, which is Cybeast Gregor and Cybeast Falzer. This is the only Battlenetwork game I played, I beat on Game Boy when I was younger, and they were both great. The story is Lan is leaving town to go to a new city, have new friends, new threats, and it's just done. I keep saying this, but it's done so well. The sadness of the characters, the nuance of meeting new friends and tackling new problems, kind of the same problems, to be fair. I mean, elementary school is elementary school, or is it middle school? I mean, they are around 10, 11. No, wait, seriously, 6 years, 6 games. How is Lan not a teenager by now? A small nitpick. But we do get new threats, new friends, same old freaking cyber problems. And I do love each scenario in these games. I love them. And one thing I do love about each boss fight for a majority of these games is how before we get to the boss fight, we have to do a terrain-ish puzzle indicating the area we are. Like in the zoo, we had to bring programs that matched an animal that beats an animal that's blocking the path. Or in Battlenetwork 3, no wait, that was Battlenetwork 3. Or in Battlenetwork 2, we had to do the magnet section with Magnet Man. And again, or for Nightman, we had to do the ghoul puzzle, the ghouls following us the whole time in number 2. Each one feels like it fits the area, and they're all challenging and fun, which I do love. And then we get after we fight the second area, the second boss in the game, we get to introduce the cross system, where an operator will teach a lesson and allow us to operate their Navi, going onto the net, doing a certain task, and then we can, because a number of the times Megaman gets kidnapped in this game, and also the obstacles that are in certain areas, we will need different Navis in order to get rid of them to acquire the items. And I do love the lineup that they give us. They give us a great number of characters. In each game, we get 5 each. And I gotta say, I still love that the first one we get is Mr. Match and Heat Man. One of my favorite characters in this game. And he's, like, obviously, because of Mega Man Battle Network, we fight him in number 2 as a side character, which I do like. 3, he becomes a villain again. 4, he still has a plot. But he decides to turn over a new leaf because he's hot for the hot dog girl. When I get into my game, the tournament scenarios, I'll go more into that. But I love that they give one member of World 3 a second chance. He goes to teaching school, and he's wants to be better, and I do love that because Mr. Match is one of my favorite characters in both the anime and the game series. He was the very first boss Lan ever fought, and it just felt right that he gets a redemption a little bit. I mean, him and Lan have always had that first enemy, that very first enemy that made us feel strong, that we can take on the world thing. And there's a kind of relationship there that is really good. And it's done throughout the series in numbers 1, 3, 4, and 6. And it's done, and again, it's done super well. But yeah, after we complete the task, and then we do the boss fight, we get to use the cross system, which is like Double Soul, but we don't have to sacrifice a chip. And then we also get later in the game, we get to beast out with our beast modes of each of the bosses, Fowler or Gregor, and each one has their own abilities, each one has their own, and plus when you combine it with the cross system, it hypes up a super attack when you do an elemental chip, and each one is just badass. And then we can go full beast out, which has us have no control of the attack, so it will just go on autopilot. Literally, beast instincts. And the villains in this game, I do love each of them. Each one of them has their own unique personality, and their net navis are badass and really, really interesting. The unique areas of the new town are really, really interesting. Using technology in order to progress in the justice system, weather, an aquarium. I do wish that we didn't go back to AC/DC Town. later on in the game, which is kind of ironic because I'm wearing my AC/DC shirt. But I still love it that it's called AC/DC Town. But I think that's more because of the outlet. I'm just saying. But I just wish that there was a fourth area that we go to and all of our friends return. Like, they come visit us instead of us going to them. That's one of my only nitpicks. And again, we get a vast amount of new gameplay variety with the cross system, having the character, and controlling the new other nabbies. Also, later on, we get to do kind of a Ghostbuster thing where we have to do strategy in order to get rid of these haunting spirits, which I do love those sections. It's really strategic. I love strategy. And a lot of bombshells in this game, which is done very, very well. Like, unless you kind of can see where the twist is going to be or what's going to happen, then it's not going to get you. But for me as a kid, all these big plot devices or revelations really hit home for me. And a lot of them I'm going to be talking about in future videos next year. Like, okay, now for the only thing, and also there are side missions that you can do throughout this game. Now, there is one that was updated because of the Japanese version that's also in the game, is the side mission self-research, where a guy needs help doing a combo where you need 2 poison seeds and Anubis. And in order to obtain the Anubis chip, you have to go deep into the graveyard area where you have to bring a Lekman, or if it's Gregor, or Tengu Man if it's Fowler, go deep in and get rid of some of the blockades, and then go back and have every single super chip, including the one that's in the Japanese exclusive of the game. Because here's the thing. Once you do once you are doing a side mission, you can't quit and do other ones. So if you do this one, and they trick you because it's a 2-star mission, but you basically need to do everything in the game, so you're basically locked out of doing all the others, which suck. I'm just gonna be honest, they need to patch this game and allow you to quit a side mission or make it easier. Obviously, they can't make it easier, so save that one for last, because doing it is a pain in the ass to do. I haven't succeeded, so when I play Fowler next time, I'm going to do all the other side missions, but skip that one so I can do them all. It's a small gripe, but I don't like games where they lock you into doing side missions and then you realize that you've gone way over your head. So you're stuck with that until you find a miraculous way to finish it. And one of the scenarios, you can only do it if you switch versions, like if you switch the audio to Japanese. So it's one big clusterfuck, which sucks. That's all I'm going to say. That's my only gripe about Battlenetwork 6. It's my only gripe. Because the story, the characters, the boss fights, the new system, the evolution of the characters throughout the series makes this game a great ending and a great send-off. And once again, every game has a couple of mature subjects, but not mature, more adult-ish and teen-ish. And it just fits with this series, and every single moment like that is done beautifully. And that's why I love the Megaman Battlenetwork series, because it takes a kiddish concept, adds a little bit of adult and a little bit of mature subject, and you barely notice it. It's done so well, and it's done so beautifully that Megaman Battlenetwork 6 deserves the final 9 out of 10 I am giving out for 2023. So overall, these games, it took a long time for me to finally beat one of my favorite series. But you know what? It was one heck of a wild ride. In all honesty, it's something that I may go back to later on. Once I replay the ones I haven't played yet and done it all again. And again, stay away from self-research until you know full well how to fully do it. I'm just going to say this. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the final game review of this year. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I hope you guys agree with some of my choices of ranking these games. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Join me next week where we're going to be diving into the only Christmas video where we're going to have a laugh riot of a time with a very criminal Santa. This is GamerK, logging out.